Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. Samantha, our producer, is here. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
Great hair.
Thanks.
Great. You need to do that. You need to, you know what? You need to
Grow
switch
it
it
out.
up. You need to switch it up.
You
Like my
could
hair?
do a small pony.
You could do a small pony.
I feel like I'm in the time in my life
Where this is the
Just
look
full
that.
headbands.
Yeah. Are you at your full look right now?
I think so. Well,
Sam,
no.
are you at your full look? You are not at your full
Nah.
look. No way. You'll evolve. I'm
Yeah.
not at my full look.
Remember,
And I'm the oldest one here.
I'll transition in my 50s and 60s.
Oh, don't do it.
into
Oh, when guys
It'll
do
just
that.
be white
When guys
V-necks
do
and
that,
jeans.
word to the wise, and this is just my opinion. When you transition in your 50s and 60s, it's a rough look. It's
No,
rough.
no,
Do it in your 20s and 30s when you're young.
I want to go more like cabana shirts, retirements, the pineapple.
Tommy Bahama.
Oh, yeah,
Like a
yeah.
pineapple,
like an
everything.
old alcoholic detective.
Yeah, everything full
The Nick
head to toe.
Nolte. The Nick Nolte, I believe that's called.
One pineapple dangler.
Disheveled
Yeah,
hair.
Yeah, just disheveled hair,
Yeah.
yellow teeth like
And
popcorn.
and then a
Yes.
long
Popcorn
skullet.
teeth.
A long pineapple
A
skullet.
long pineapple skullet
Yeah, yeah.
and bright yellow teeth. I think that's your
I'll start
look.
smoking and
Yeah.
testosterone.
Oh my God, smoking so much that your
Yeah.
fingernails turn yellow like Billy D. Williams.
And then I hope to have full red Rogan.
Oh, you'll be the
Yeah,
reddest.
you'll be on the
Rogan.
tee at that
And
point.
you're
Oh,
on the
yeah,
tee,
yeah, yeah.
so you have so
For
much back
years.
hair, you'll look like a big red Rogan
Yeah.
gorilla.
And then it blows your hair out. That's
Yeah.
why I get the skull.
Blows out
Yeah,
your
yeah.
leg hair, so you have
Yeah.
shiny brown legs.
And I'll do.
Your legs will look like two brown broomsticks.
I'll have just enough money after the first divorce to get a hair transplant.
Oh, but it's bad.
But it's just the first row. So the skull.
Just the first row. They call that the
Oh.
splash zone. They call that the splash zone right in the
yeah.
front.
And so it'll just be the front. I don't have
Yeah.
the money to do the rest.
Yeah, but you'll wear
so-
hats.
Yeah.
But
A
you'll
headband.
tip them back a little bit so the hair will poof down.
Yeah.
The Brett Michaels.
Am I cutting this out for the end of the year awards for embarrassing ourselves in front of clients?
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
You know,
I'll
treat
write this
yourself to
down.
that.
2
Treat
for
yourself.
1.
I want you to treat yourself to that, Sam. Hey, one of our favorite guests is here,
Yes.
everybody.
Moe Dewitt's here. How you doing, Mo?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
I mean, you
Sorta
you
we
saw
said-
how we're doing. You see how we're doing. How do you
That's
think
fair.
we're doing, Mo?
Yeah. I feel like Mo has business to do.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Mo's
he's checking
like-
his
He's
emails.
checking his watch, checking his watch, checking his watch.
And I apologize. So
I see the
Hair
other videos
transplants are
too.
very important.
I see the other videos too. I see like the news junkie videos.
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
they're
yeah.
so professional. They ask
Yeah.
good questions. You
I
know,
know.
Sean's like such a pro.
So Mo, let's talk about hostile work environments.
Yeah.
We
We are the kings of hostile work environments.
I feel we've lost Luca, and really he's kind of.
Explain who
Not
Luca
that he's
is.
dead. We don't know. We just physically lost him.
Explain
Missing.
who Luca
He is missing.
is.
MIA.
Mo
not
knows.
Miami.
It was our studio lizard that we've had for weeks, and it was.
He's on his 9th week.
We were trying to domesticate it. I went and bought him a habitat,
and that's when it took a turn.
You spoiled him. You
Yeah.
spoiled him to death. Now he's out in the streets doing hood rat stuff with his friends.
And the last time we saw him was Akeem Woods was here,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Akeem
And
was petting him. What if Akeem took him to L.A.? He's back. He's in New York now.
He ran behind the couch, and then he hasn't come out since. And
Yeah.
then I tried to use the mealy bugs, and then
They're not mealy
or
bugs.
whatever
They're mealworms. Mealybugs and mealworms, completely different species.
So I tried to taunt him out with the worms, and nothing's worked.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
But you can't pick up the worms.
this morning I was talking to my wife, and Modern Plumbing's over the house.
No.
And
Hey, they're putting in an outdoor shower. Do you have an outdoor shower?
It's gonna
Yeah,
make
I
a
think we
laying
do,
pipe.
Has one, forgot about it. Has an outdoor
Wow.
shower,
Yeah.
forgot about it.
yeah. Well, that's the
Take
thing.
that in your face. Take that, butter teeth, the butter teeth skullet.
I know.
Jeez.
Anyway, so the lizard. So
I'm more interested in the outdoor shower now.
Yeah,
to be
me
honest,
too.
their
but-
modern
Me too.
plumbing's putting in the outdoor shower, and
But
then
his
Crystal's
wife,
telling me.
is yours wooden? Like all wood?
No,
and-
ours is just like a shower spigot out of the wall.
See? That's what I said. It's fine. Mo has it. Good enough for Mo. Good enough for bro.
So Joe from Modern Plumbing's over the house,
Joe,
and
you were
then
just trying to rhyme.
And then so Crystal calls me, and then Joe's like, Crystal's like, Joe's telling me everything you told him is not true.
Those are called lies. Those are lies, right?
All right, because-
let's ask the expert. Are those lies?
That sounds like lies.
Okay,
no,
thank you, Mo.
No, it wasn't lies because I thought they were true. I was telling him what I thought was true, which is not
well,
lies.
that's lying to
That's
yourself.
just because you
believe it
That's double
doesn't mean it's
lies.
true.
Yeah, that's lying to yourself.
Because
now.
I was like, you could fish it all through the soffit. He's like, whoever built this monstrosity. He didn't say it that way.
Who died in this coffin?
But
Did he say that?
he's like, all the add-ons. He's like, they put the soffit there. It's a false soffit.
This place is a death trap.
They're just used it to hide the beams up there. He's like, we can't put it through the beams. Anyway,
I've never seen more JB Weld in my life.
so while he's telling me this, and then Crystal's yelling at me, the flies are everywhere.
Was she on speakerphone?
No, she put it on speakerphone.
That's embarrassing, dude. Oh my god,
She
that
does
would
that to
drive
him all the
me-
time.
that
Happened
would
yesterday. He
drive
cursed
me-
in front of his kids and had a freak out.
What happened? I missed that. You cursed in front of your kids on speakerphone?
And it's like she's trying to say, look what I have to deal with.
Yeah, it's like the Mel Gibson tapes. It's no different. It's no different than the Mel. You're
setup.
You are Casselberry's
It's
Mel
always
Gibson.
a setup at your house,
Casselberry
man.
Mel Gibson. What
Yellow
would you do? Did you know that? Did you know that he was the yellow tooth?
I'm gonna have to distance myself
He
now.
is the yellow tooth Casselberry Gibson.
Anyway, so there's flies everywhere.
We're gonna eat now. Who's hungry? You remember those tapes?
I'm swatting flies.
Let's have dinner now.
And I'm like, why is there's big, thick doo-doo flies everywhere?
They're everywhere. They were in here, and then I was telling you a story over there, and I saw a doo-doo fly land on you so big it looked like you had a mole.
And so I'm like, what is
There's
this?
bugs crawling everywhere,
And
man.
And this
it's
whole
gross.
place is like we're turning the studio into a rainforest.
And then Sam's like, they're from the open water and bugs that you
And
have.
peat moss. There's a whole chunk of. There's a cow
Yeah,
turd.
yeah, yeah. Wait,
in
they
a-
told me to mist it online. They said mist the peat moss
You
every
didn't
day.
missed it. He took the peat moss out of the
mold
bag.
growing in there
he
now.
took the peat moss out of the bag, and then he ran it under the water, and then he squeezed all the water
Oh my
out
god,
of
you're
it.
not supposed to do that.
And
That's
then
what
he
I said.
Then he packed it down in there like a sailor packs tobacco into a pipe.
Anyway, so Sam's like, that's what's causing all the flies is the habitat.
Yeah, they're making larvae
Yeah, yeah.
in there.
Now by
And
Mo.
this box full of turds
Sorry,
on your
sorry.
I
right
keep
feet.
looking at it next to
Yeah,
me.
there's
Why'd
larvae
you put
in
it
there.
next to Mo?
He didn't know Mo
I
was
forgot he
gonna
was
sit
coming
there.
in. And then, so I started looking for Luca again, and I was looking through the email
And then we
box,
got an old
and there's
piano.
Oh,
doo-doo
the mountains
everywhere.
of turds.
Yeah, there is diarrhea all over the emails.
And then there's so much doo-doo, and Sam's like, there's doo-doo and water and moss is creating the
Yeah.
flies. So then I started
And
thinking,
then I
was
saw
like,
her writing something, and I looked over her shoulder, and it said formal complaint.
if you build
The first note I have here literally says emotional distress. Ask Mo.
Oh, wow.
So my question, Mo, is if you have an employee and you build a lizard habitat underneath its desk,
Basically under her
him or-
feet. Under her feet.
where her work environment is, and then animals doo-dooing everywhere.
It's unsanitary.
It's pooping everywhere.
And then the
They
habitat.
forced me to read the emails. I gotta brush the
Yeah.
doo-doo
And
off.
she picks them up,
we
and
put
then
a
you
hot
see
heat
the
lamp.
turds going.
Balls.
And there's a heat lamp down there baking her feet.
This is not even a joke. This is really how it is.
It is. I didn't say it was a joke.
I know, but I
didn't think about it, Mo.
feel like the listeners think that this is all
Who
a
said it
facade.
was a joke? Was it because Forrest was laughing? It's probably because Forrest was
I was
laughing.
doing it for the lizard.
Yeah.
I wanted.
I told you he didn't want any
I
of
did
that.
it all for the lizard.
Who's more important, Sam or the lizard?
Make a song about that.
Well, he's already bought keychains for Luca, so.
Yeah, we bought these keychains for him. Now we can't find them. Now we have. I can't cancel the order because Eric already said he's like, I did it 2 weeks ago. They're on back order.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have little red Tom and Dad T-shirts on.
Yeah.
But now they're gonna have to be like commemorative because he's dead.
It's on a shipping container.
Yeah. Oh, it's somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Or
Anyway,
is that the Pacific?
so is that
R.I.P.
fine, Mo?
Luca.
Is there any?
Is this a OSHA violation?
yeah,
or-
like-
It sounds like there's a lot of violations here.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
Good to know.
So speaking of violations, if a and I'm sure you run across this a lot, Mo, but if there's
a lot of lizard law.
no, this is a different
This
law.
is real. This is
So if there's a law and no one cares about it, right? Even the government or police, right?
Okay.
Is it even a law anymore, right? Because I feel like that there are some laws and some sort of protocols that apparently no one cares about, and everybody, even the cops, say that we don't care. And then at that point, I'm like, well, then I'm just going to, break the law or not follow the protocol because it doesn't seem like anybody cares. And I'm just going to say I built my own trailer to get a tag for it.
in this particular trailer saga that I swear to God this thing is, I cannot believe
Is it still going on?
it. Not only is it still going on, and this is coming from me, not from Tom. If Tom's saying it, you're like, obviously he's already confirmed that everything he says is a lie.
Right.
But with
But
me,
he thinks it's true.
yeah, but he thinks it's true, and that's a double lie. So, but with me, it's like the only way that he can get his trailer like really in his name and make it his is to do bad things. And there's no other way out.
Is it bad when no one cares? Because everyone I talk to,
even the cops are saying, "Well, you got to do the bad things."
Yeah, they're
I'm
just
sorry,
like, it
it's the
doesn't
only
matter.
way.
Like,
explain it to Mo.
Okay,
Quickly,
people are tired of it, but to do the right thing, Mo,
We're tired of it.
is
Tom.
going to cause everybody headaches that no one wants. And everybody, even the DMV, and they're not telling me this directly because I think legally
What are they
they
doing? A
can't.
little winky
Well, you
winky?
can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their eyes.
If I wanted to do this exactly by the book protocol,
Legally.
I have to bring my trailer down to the DMV for them to inspect themselves. So they have to bring some lady in a pantsuit out of the back.
They don't
of
wear
the-
pantsuits anymore.
I've done
She's
this
gotta
before.
get down on the hot floor.
I did this with my
What is she-
scooter. I had an old black Mima like come out, and she was
No, she
dressed.
don't wanna do
She was
that.
dressed to the 1000s. I still remember what she looked like in gray silk pants, and I'm like, oh my god! And she had to lay on the GD floor like a dog and find the VIN numbers on my engine and on my frame, make sure they matched, and then no, it's
They don't wanna
stupid.
do that.
Don't make that lady lay in the
She
dirt.
don't wanna
Are you-
do that.
No,
She's-
she doesn't
she's
deserve
like,
to do
why
that. She's
didn't you-
65 years old.
Why didn't you just come in here and say home built and save us all a hassle? We don't care. The cops don't care. No one cares. And everybody just keeps telling me. And I'm like, so I'm supposed to go in there and just be like, I built this 25-foot trailer
but that's
for my
a lie.
boat myself.
Yeah, but that is a lie. So what does he do?
Now, could this cause me any sort of problems in the future, Mo? Because that's really what I started looking at. Is a lot of things I've done in the past cause me problems in the future. Really, it's
usually how it
almost
works.
It's like direct correlation.
Write
when
that
I
down.
cut, when
That's good. Write that down.
when I cut
got
corners,
legs.
or when I say I'll do this later, it always affects me down the road. And I don't know
good
why
lesson.
that. So could this me registering a trailer homemade that's obviously not ever come back and bite me in the ass?
I mean, if it's technically against the law, it's technically against the law. But you're
Okay.
right. You know, nobody's really enforcing it, so they're just kind of looking the other way. But if you get some stickler DMV person or cop who wants to come after you for it, I suppose they could, or if you sell it or something like that.
Yeah. The selling it, that's going to be a whole awkward scenario where
Okay, hold on a second.
I'm having to tell some other guy like, yeah, it's a registered homemade, and then he looks at me, and then it's
Okay, I got an idea. In order to appease both doing the right thing so you don't have to lie, and also taking care of something that you needed to do a long time ago. I remember, because my memory's working again, that your trailer was too light, and that when you'd go to put in your boat, it would float and make things hard. You need to fill it with concrete or do something anyway. We have a welder in our chat room. Take the trailer to him, get him to fill it with concrete, taking care of the problem that you needed, and have him just weld a little something on it. Then it's actually homemade because you made adjustments to it. Then take it and register it. No lie in place because you actually made an adjustment to it. It is homemade now. Boom.
I already fixed the trailer weight problem.
you already fixed it?
I
Oh.
made big torpedoes of concrete. Did I tell you about this?
Concrete torpedoes.
That's what he's always liked. He's a 90s guy. He's always loved the concrete torpedoes.
I filled like a big PVC tube and put caps on both of concrete.
Okay.
And then
Never mind that.
And then I bolted them to the side.
Okay.
Like at any time they
fine.
could
Well, then I
fall
think you're
off.
good, right?
Well,
Well, it's homemade now is my point. You made adjustments to it, so
It's an argument.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like you made adjustments to it. It is no longer a stock built trailer. You had to adjust.
yeah, but
it.
it's not homemade. Like adding a spoiler
Well,
to your car
okay.
doesn't make it homemade.
Well, if I use pre-shredded cheese rather than shredding it off the block, you know what that's called? On QVC, they call that a supermarket shortcut.
I'm realizing.
You
also,
just did a supermarket shortcut.
what kind of manufacturer doesn't weld on something that would last? You know, like apparently they just
that's
put.
the oldest man thing you've ever. What kind of manufacturer doesn't weld on something that lasts?
Well, I'm just saying you put a sticker with the VIN number on, or like some, you know what I'm saying, on a boat trailer that just dunks in the water 8,000 times. Like, this isn't going to last forever. Like, it's just baking in the sun.
It should be stamped.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Mom. We had a question the other day. I'm not sure if you saw it on the BDM page, but a lot of people, I feel, are confused by laws, and
Including
Including myself.
That's great.
and
That's great.
and
Please
especially
see aforementioned segment.
work laws. Like they get right to work confused all the time. They have no idea
fired for anything at any time by anybody, man.
what your employer is allowed to ask you to do. I feel like a lot of employers don't know because like you start a business, who reads business laws?
As an
my God.
employer, I
You went to business school.
As an
They
employer,
don't teach you that.
I just push as hard as I can until something seems inappropriate.
It's good policy.
And then so people are like outraged a lot about what their
Well, people
employer
are outraged about
asking
everything
them
now.
to do. Which, by the way, I believe you are allowed to say, "I don't want to do this." And then it's
Sure.
up to your employer to either accept that or fire you. And I would say good luck firing someone because it's a pain in the ass hiring new employees. Like,
Yep.
take advantage of that. Like, your employer does not want to hire. Like, it's a whole process. It's easier just to keep you. It's like a wife.
It's also all in how you,
Mo laughing because he knows.
That may be the best analogy I've heard.
There it is. Anyway, so Mo, in the question, the BDM page, I guess the person's wife works for a company, and they asked her to work like 6 days in a row, twice with no break in between or whatever. And he was questioning the legality of it. So, what is like? How much can your employer ask you to work?
So I mean, if you work over 40 hours, depending on what kind of position it is, if it's exempt and things like that, but they would be entitled to overtime. So you have to look at overtime, whether they're exceeding 40 hours per week within their pay period. So if you're paid bi-weekly, you look at the 80-hour stretch, and if they exceed that, then they have to pay you overtime. So that's really the solution, is make sure they're being paid overtime. Now, if they are being paid overtime and they still don't want to work, then they can decline, like you said. And if they want to fire them, they can fire them, but then they have to go replace them. So,
gotcha. So you could, can you ask your employee, as long as you pay them overtime for over 40 hours a week, to work technically an unlimited amount of time?
yeah.
Like, there's no law against asking your employee to like sleep at your job and work 24 hours a day as long as you pay them overtime.
Yeah, I mean, certain positions.
If we
and certain
did that,
jobs,
maybe
yeah.
we wouldn't lose a lizard. We'd know where he's at now. If Sam had been
You
here.
need a lizard watchman, 24 hours a day, somebody on the clock.
Someone had been here to, see where he's at.
Check the cameras.
So
It's too tiny
and then it has to be triggered by motion. The lizard's not
to
gonna
even record anything.
So so that's the thing. It's like someone can ask you anything, but you have the right to say no. And then it's like,
And then they have the right to fire you for
Yeah.
saying no?
yeah.
Yeah, that's where kind of at-will employment comes in.
Gotcha.
You don't want to do the job, they don't want to employ you. You can each go your separate ways.
Look right there. There's one of those big honking
Yeah.
flies.
He was just flying around my head a
Oh
second
my
ago.
God,
You
that's
gotta
so
do something.
embarrassing. Put that on the list too.
This
My
is
God.
embarrassing.
We have like probably like a heritage client, and he's flies buzzing around his head.
Yeah. This is where Mo goes back to iHeart. Is like, well, this
At least I don't have flies around here. Place is a lot nicer than that dump.
yeah.
Going to old Pete Moss Village with
You know,
flies everywhere.
should we be done with the animals? Should we just run a professional business and not fill it full of animals?
No.
It was
Bees
fine
everywhere.
before you
One
started
more
bringing all this extra
One
stuff.
more run, cats. One more run with cats.
I'm not doing the litter box.
Cats everywhere. Whole
How many
student-
cats can we get in
You're
here?
allergic to cats? Anybody here allergic to cats?
Technically, but I'll be
Oh,
fine.
you are? Okay, we can do something different. What about us? What about
What about like a baby gator?
no? What about what are those things? Not a mongoose. What
Oh,
are
ferret.
Ferret.
Oh,
Ferret.
Oh, they stink.
they get
good.
Bite.
musky. They get real musky. You smell
They
them.
spray something.
Yeah, they spray. They got
Like a skunk?
Yeah. They have like a
they're
musk.
They're like
sprayer.
the cousin of a skunk. And they got like sort of the same, but it's not quite as bad as a skunk. It's just like a little more sour.
Yeah. And they say
What
it's
is
not,
that, buttermilk? Oh my God.
Yeah, they say it's not doo-doo, but it's coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, well, it comes from the general area. If it came off the top of his head, maybe I'd have a different opinion, but it's around the same zone.
Yeah,
And,
it's
you know,
right
I don't know,
there.
there's dark brown and light brown, you know, like.
How you doing, Mo?
Won't be
He's
buying a
swatting
ferret.
flies. Crazy.
Do you really need boat insurance? How often do you deal with boat insurance? Because
Probably want it.
yeah, I have it through Blanchard, but I feel like I use the boat so
little.
rarely.
Yeah, that's how they get the money.
Yeah, that I'm like, most of the time it's just sitting there. What's gonna happen to it? Like, I'm using it once a month, or once every 2 months. and then I pay the same. So you pay the same as you used it every single hour than you do once a year. Anyway, I feel like statistically I can get rid of it, but then people get chopped up and they sue you crazy, right?
Yeah, that's the risk.
Your
All
family
that risk
insurance.
I would never have that
I
problem.
run into something because I'm not paying attention.
Like with me, it's like I'm always alone, so I'm not gonna chop anybody up. No friends. It's like I'm there all myself. Just sitting in the boat alone.
I got a question, Mo. So, Daniel, speaking of doing things, a little bit differently
I don't know
that
what
no
you're
one
gonna
cares
say.
about.
Let's
No,
hear it.
he's replacing his engine with an electric engine,
Yep.
and then I guess someone said by the book.
Oh man,
Someone should. You have to report it to the DMV and tell them that now it's an electric vehicle.
Yeah, they want me to go down there and get the same
Oh,
Meemaw to go
boy.
lay in the gray pantsuit on the ground. And she's like, well, the VIN isn't on the engine because there's no engine. And I have to explain to her, yeah, it's been replaced with an electric motor, but the VIN on the frame is the same. I don't know if I have to bring... This guy was saying you would have to bring the old engine down to prove that... I'm like, that's not... You're making
Seems
stuff
like a lot
up.
of work.
I think
Yeah,
this guy's just making stuff up to be a pain in my ass. Like, I don't think this is a real...
Well, half the time
thing.
they don't know what's going on at the DMV anyways.
Well,
I
you
mean,
can't even
yeah,
see
no
what's
one-
in there. Like, you can't see that, like, once it's swapped, you'll never know it's swapped.
Yeah.
Well, it won't make any noise. I mean, I guess there's that.
but
This is an interesting question. As I'm sure this is going to happen more and more, and people are going to swap like electric motors with like regular gas motors and then motorcycles and different things like that. And then all of a sudden, say you got motorcycle insurance, you get in an accident. Like, could the insurance company say, "Hey, this has a different motor than the original.
That's
I'm
what
not
this guy is
insuring
saying.
it anymore."
That's what this guy is saying. So here, I'll give you the short of the long. Short of the long is this is a Vespa 150 from 1959.
Right.
Originally, it would have topped at around 42 to 44 miles an hour. That's as much as it'll go.
Well, you don't need insurance for a scooter, do you?
You don't, but I have it. I mean, like,
yeah, if you're on the roadway, you should.
Yeah,
if
I've
you're
always,
legally on the
Andrea's
roadway.
dad's an insurance agent. We always have the top tier because we're not allowed to not have it, I guess. That's just how parents operate. But it would only do 42 to 44. Well, with this new swap, not only is it quiet now, but it'll do
90.
80. Yeah, it'll do 80 miles an hour. So if you think of that's what this guy was
Yeah.
saying in my email. He was basically telling me, well, so you're, for lack of a better term, you're now defrauding because this vehicle is incorrectly registered and needs to be registered correctly. I'm like, but why? By the way, I'm not going to do that.
No, that's
not
overkill.
Well, I think the proper thing to do would be to notify your insurance company that you've modified the vehicle and basically have them note that modification as part of your policy so they
Gotcha.
can't come back and decline it and say, oh, you misled us.
And drop you.
Yeah.
and drop you or not provide coverage.
I'm going to do
so
the
as long
old,
as you tell
I'm
them
gonna
that.
go in there. I mean, it's homemade. Homemade.
Listen,
Everything homemade.
if someone hits you, you just have to drag your body back to your garage.
If
and
somebody
then
hits
just-
me on it, I'm dead.
Oh, no. But if you don't die, you drag your body back to your garage and then say you fell off your ladder, homeowner's insurance.
Oh, I like
Everybody
that.
knows that.
And then you drink,
Yeah,
too.
road
Don't you
rash.
drink, too?
Monos.
And you drink, right? You're
No,
like,
no, that's different. That's for a different one.
oh, that's when you're drunk and you crash into your own house.
If you happen to be drunk, start drinking.
And they're like, I had a drink because I was in pain.
Yeah, when the cops show up, just say you're nervous.
I had a drink because my legs have been severed and I had to crawl all the way back and lay in my house, so I got the homeowner scam.
That's real.
Tom's legal advice is really phenomenal.
I'm just saying
Any
what I've
advice,
seen.
really.
Let me ask you this.
I've seen
Let me
it
ask you
happen.
this. Between the advice and the flies, do you like us?
I'm just like Mo can't say it. He's a professional, but I'll say it. I'm just saying I've seen this happen, and it works most of the time. But you gotta stay true to it. When they start asking you how you fell off the ladder, you stick to your story.
Yeah.
And don't let your
We know somebody,
wife-
remember? And his wife got on the phone and he was doing the scam. And his wife, this is a true story.
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
know somebody was doing the scam. And then his wife got on the phone. He's like, no.
He
And then
started telling the
she
truth.
started telling the truth, and it was the jig was up. The
It's
jig was
all
up.
done.
Yep.
They immediately start backing
Yeah,
away. They're like,
yeah.
I can't
They're like,
do it
I'm
now.
sorry, you're done.
Once you said that,
Yeah.
now it can't be
Yeah, it
unsaid.
can't be unsaid.
God.
You said what you said. It is done.
Insurance fraud is a real crime. I should point that out.
It is real.
No, I know it's real. If you
It's,
get
it's not
caught.
one of those
Right.
crimes people
Of
just
course
ignore
it's
either.
real, which was the point of the small demonstration we did, was to prove to our listeners the dangers of temperature.
Yeah.
Yes,
very
of course.
educational
Yes,
show,
of
dude.
course. That was a dramatization.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they lock you up. But to set an example,
Yeah, they
especially
really
in
do.
Florida.
They throw the book at you, too. It's huge.
Listen, they started putting
Yeah.
pressure on the judges.
Murderers, 10
Okay.
years. This guy,
Mo,
105.
that happens, though. Let's talk about serious things. So, if, like, obviously,
24 minutes in, you hit your serious stride.
like, insurance in Florida has gone crazy. People are all complaining about it. I'm sure the politicians are feeling pressure from the people who vote, the voters, right? And then so the politicians put pressure on the judges to start basically using harsher penalties to people that commit insurance fraud, to start setting examples in the community,
Yeah.
so to like dissuade people from insurance fraud, right? So that's a real thing. Where it's like, if there's a problem in society or in your state or community, then you probably should stay away from any of these crimes, because they're probably gonna have harsher penalties.
Well, whenever there's more of a public outrage, the
Yeah.
penalties seem to increase because people care about it. So,
Yeah.
And judges in the state of Florida are elected officials. So, if their constituents are concerned about an issue, they may. Well, they're supposed to follow the sentencing guidelines. They are human, and I think they're influenced by, not necessarily public pressures, but they kind of feel the same way maybe the constituents do about certain things.
And so, you could probably be given a harsher penalty now as opposed to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because there's more of a problem with it. And so I think that's real. Like, in whether or not, I know they're following the letter of the law, but, you're still going to be influenced a little bit. That could be a year of your life or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, even a little bit, 1% harsher penalty is
And they want
a
to set an
lot.
example to try to dissuade other people from doing it.
Absolutely.
I do have one question that we had written down to talk to Mo about. The last time we had Kenny Samsolin from Two Moves Podcast, we were talking about people that did celebrity impressions.
Yes.
And we were like, what are the legalities
Yeah.
if you impersonate somebody and then you legally change your name? So let's say you impersonate Morgan Freeman and then you go and change your name to Morgan Freeman legally. Is there any way to get sued, or...
Would they even let you do that?
I don't know.
Sometimes
You can
I think
change
that
to
these
anything,
things fall
right?
through the cracks, because I saw a car the other day that passed me really fast, and his license plate was one that I was like, how the hell it was like real effing fast or something. I was like, how'd you get that? Like, most of the time, they'll never let you do that. So I wonder sometimes if, just based on discretion, if things happen and...
I mean, to some degree, I'm sure there's certain things that just slip through the system. For that, usually they're looking at likelihood of confusion.
Right.
I would guess most celebrities probably have their names trademarked to some degree. So even though it's his real name and he can
Like if he
use the
starts
real name,
endorsing some kind of thing.
endorsing or using it in a commercial purpose, then I think they could shut him down, because they're going to say it's a great likelihood of confusion, as they're, the public's not going to know who is who at that point.
Gotcha.
And Mo, do you find that often people forget that how our system works and a jury decides a lot of these decisions? Because sometimes when people are outraged by whatever decision, and there's like 12 of regular people decided on this after hearing the whole trial, so they probably know better than the first you're reading a headline of a story.
Well, it's also while there's multiples in there, right? Like,
yeah,
but then you stack that, or however that played out. I mean, there's percentages of that based on counsel and how they.
Yeah, and you may get one
massaged it.
person who feels passionately, who convinces the other people. Sometimes you'll talk to the jury after a trial. I had one time I was talking to a guy, and he was saying one of the other jurors was just drunk and high the entire time.
Really?
I mean, it is our peers.
They did that
scary.
on the case I was on. The counsel wanted to speak to us after.
Yeah.
And they talked to me, and they complimented me for my note taking and said I took it very seriously.
Notes.
And then somebody sold out we had a young girl that was on her phone the whole time, and they were like, how did she have her phone? I didn't get my phone, and it became like a big thing. They were all like arguing about it, but I didn't know they did, like, after the trial. I didn't know they're like, hey, we want to pick your brain about a few things.
Well, it's optional. You don't have to
it was
talk
cool.
to them, but you're certainly welcome to if you want to.
And then you just realize, like, oh, it's bad again. Just like the other 100 times before. No one's paying attention. These are our community.
Drunk and high the whole time.
Mo, thanks so much for coming.
Yeah,
We
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me.
Appreciate you. Always good seeing you. Sorry about the flies. We'll have that.
Sorry for the cage
Yeah.
next
It's
It's like a
Yeah.
wildlife adventure.
We will have that fixed the next time you pop in. I
Yeah.
guarantee you there will be fly free.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Awesome. Great job, y'all. What's up, man? Make yourself at home.
Gotta get a picture. Bus text me with all you guys.
Where's this
Fucking bus stacker.
That is Thursday 1.
Goddamn slave driver.
He stays on time. He's an organized man.
You want to go back by the
Yeah.
wall?
Hold on, give me 1 second to say this.
I think it was like 2018.
2018, yeah. Soundbar. Soundbar. All right. I thought about like going and getting like a bearded dragon or something over the holiday. No, over the weekend, and not tell these guys, and then just set it on the couch, and then be late that day and have them come in and freak out like it got you. Right when we had them on, we did tell like this guy was going to get on the sign shot.
I don't know why they want a panoramic shot.
Listen, Twitch, I told you guys this would happen. They bought him a habitat, and now he's gone. They tried to cage him, and he just wanted to be free. And now I'm stuck with flies and shit.
What he likes. That's what he likes. Good to see you, man.
Anything, let us know. Hope you got anything you want us to promote.
I will do that. Come on in, man.
All right, I'll see you back at the office.
I'm in.
See you, Mo. See you, Forrest.
Hey,
Good
what's
to
up?
see you, man.
Come
Thanks for being
on
here.
in.
I'll put you right
Should
there.
we move the habitat so the flies aren't surrounding our guests?
What is that? Yeah, they're
He's a real man. He's
Yeah,
fine.
this
there.
guy's full of
You know,
flies.
some flies are not gonna bother him.
What are you trying to say about Mo? I'm going to tell
no,
Mo.
no. That all just, you know.
This is you right up here. Here's you right here.
Where do you want to put this, Tom? Wednesday, Thursday? Well, not Thursday because it's only 11 minutes for Thursday. Friday,
Let's put
Monday.
We got, how much do we have to finish Wednesday?
Wednesday, we need 19. I don't think anybody else we have is time sensitive. No. We can do it Friday. Yeah. Okay. Friday, Friday, Friday.
Sam, do we have information?
On.
Hold on. Where is the stuff?
What you looking for? Maybe I can help you.
Well, I was looking for all the Orlando Science Center. I got this.
I put it back in the folder.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, all right. We'll hit
What
it.
do you need the Science Center stuff for?
Good seeing you as
I was,
always.
I know we had the pets and
The dog exhibit
Melrose.
and Saturday
I'm gonna
night,
get 'em.
or
I'm gonna
Science
get 'em.
Night Live is this Saturday.
All
Is it not on the
right.
board in front of you? I can't remember if I wrote it on there.
It is, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
So this will be Friday. Friday 1.
Friday, we're talking podcasting, huh?
Podcasting and welding.
And welding.
Weld Wednesday.
I'm a bad welder.
I
I
wanna
actually have
learn
a
to
show
weld.
called Weld Wednesdays.
I know. I got your
Oh, okay.
website up.
Yeah, I was looking at it this morning too. It's a good site, man.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Van, I can bring us back, or is this a start?
It's a start.
Okay, I can start us. Here we go. And can you hear okay?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. 3, 2. It is a corporate time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom.
Samantha, our producer's here. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
We have a special guest, but first, you could be watching this right now if audio is not your thing, or if you have the ability to watch it. Maybe you work from home, want to kill some time, or like seeing our shining faces. You can go to twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live, or on YouTube. We're on there as well. Just youtube.com/@Tom and Dan Live.
Also, we'll see you Saturday, June 10th, for Scootin' and Tootin' beer
man.
release at Hourglass in Longwood. We'll be there at 5. We're doing trivia at 6:30, so sign up at 5:30. Get your teams. First place is going to get a Friday Tom and Dan pizza party.
Yeah, and I put it in the group. I'm not skimping on the pizzas.
Yeah.
We're not doing we're not doing a big brand.
We got a trophy. We
Yeah.
got some Hourglass gift cards.
Yeah.
We got some merch.
We got some beers to give away.
Yeah. So free for everybody, and just come by, enjoy some beers, and hang out with us on Saturday.
We would absolutely love to see you.
So as podcasting gets bigger and bigger, and I
Sure.
guess just like social media and like being an influencer and creating content, because it could be micro content, it could be like small videos are your content.
Right.
Whatever your content is, big or small, people are figuring out ways to monetize it and ways to turn it into a small business.
I always feel uncomfortable when
Or-
people don't rhyme big or small. I feel like you should have said big or small. We've got them all.
Or even part-time, like if you're doing a podcast part-time, and let's say you're monetizing it here and there, you're making an extra $1,200 a month. That's great.
That's a lot of
If
money.
you're enjoying doing it,
Yeah.
or you're doing it for free because you need an outlet.
It's creative.
Yeah.
Certainly. Can be beneficial, can be therapeutic.
There's also something to be said about, it's kind of like writing a book or writing memoirs or a diary or something. You're making video or audio evidence of a time in your life that lives forever, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're documenting something you're doing, and then now you'll have that forever. And then when you're old or whatever, your kids or
You can
generations,
look at it
lives
and be
forever.
sad. You can look at it and be sad that you're not that you're dying.
So we've got John Becker here. How you doing, John?
John, it's
Oh.
Jason.
Oh,
God damn it.
Yes. Yes. Boy, you blew that one big. Write that down,
It's
Tim.
on the
hesitant to
calendar. I
correct you.
literally texted both of you.
Jason Becker.
I'm writing this down. Embarrassment.
Yeah, this is pretty
Embarrassment.
I was trying to figure
You
out.
did a
That
good
long
job,
ass
too. That
intro
was a
just for
great
you to
intro.
get his name wrong. Mwah.
Jason,
Mwah.
what did you think of the
Well,
intro?
I wasn't looking
up,
for the-
up until the point
For his
where
name.
up until the point where he ruined your name. What did you think of the intro? I thought it was pretty damn good.
I thought it was great. I was
Okay.
actually hesitant to correct him on my own
You
name.
gotta
Yeah,
correct
yeah.
him. Don't
That's-
let him get away with it.
You know what I
Okay,
like?
I'm gonna tell the truth.
I like that you are so intimidating that when you do these things, or is it that people
feel bad.
sorry?
Yeah. They don't want to
They're
embarrass
like-
him.
It's like it's
I don't have any issues with that.
It's almost as if you
Okay.
said, "This is my best friend," and he's like, "Well, that's not true, but just go with it.
Oh.
Just go with it.
yeah,
It's for the kids.
Yeah, just do it."
okay.
Jason loves a kid.
Let me just tell the truth of what happened. I was.
Did your mind
panicking.
go blank?
No. I was panicking because Moe left here, and then I was like, "Oh God, you made a fool of yourself again."
There's
You
flies
were,
everywhere.
you were razzled.
Yeah, there's
well,
flies everywhere, you idiot.
Then
You'll be nothing but
our,
the king of Fly Mountain.
our guest came in, and then I'm like,
He
who-
stood there like
who
a
is this?
polite Southern
Yeah.
gentleman in the corner.
So then I shook his hand, and then I'm intimidated because,
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
said,
he's
he's
a
a
real
real man,
man,
and then
yeah.
he sat down. So
He had
I
a good
get nervous.
handshake, right?
You know,
So-
it's a good thing I don't write any of this in the calendar.
So then
I bet this guy doesn't have flies at his podcast.
I'm
studio.
like, get up and check who our guest name is, and maybe that'll jog your memory because I don't
Yeah.
know.
how do I
don't know
check?
what-
And then you're like,
I'm
how
like,
do
what
I
is he
check his
promoting?
name? I got to knock him out and look inside his hat.
I'm like, is this the comedy riverboat?
This guy doesn't look like a riverboat captain.
That's what
Guy
I'm
looks
like.
like an airboat captain. Is
Oh,
the comedy on an
God.
airboat? Oh my God, the comedy is on an airboat. He starts
Yeah. So then
spiraling
I
out of-
go. First I'm like,
It's gonna be loud. How are
he
the
was
people?
shuffling
I'm
through all his
shuffling-
papers.
yeah.
I said, how can I help you?
How are the people gonna hear the
But
comedy?
That
on the
information was
airboat?
right in front of you, too.
No, but Jason was sitting here. I didn't want him to
Oh,
let him
now
know.
you call him
Yeah,
Jason.
well, it's-
Now you call him
So I
Jason.
didn't want to
Just
let him
ask
know.
me to come to the office and I'll explain
No,
things.
Why
Did
don't
you
you
hear
just
me?
No, if he asks you to come to the office, I'm gonna be that's
Write it down on a
inappropriate.
piece of paper. Say, Sam, let me show you something. Don't say show me something.
Inappropriate. I'll be like Thompson. They're showing his penis to our producer.
I've thought of everything.
You haven't thought of his name?
So then I go in there and I'm like, I'm like, all right, his name is Jason, right?
But I'm gonna say John.
What did you write?
so
you
I-
normally write down the
Yeah,
name quickly
it's Jason,
before you forget
oh,
it.
it's Jason Becker, and then I look at the name.
He has to write
but I have
names
no idea-
down. He has to write thoughts. He has to write them down like he just caught a ferry and it's about to fly away.
God damn it.
So then I'm like, oh, at least write his name down so you remember. But I wrote John.
Why did you write John?
Because I was still trying to figure out
Who is
what
John?
your-
Mo was here. John
Who is John?
Bustecker. I don't know.
That's
like,
probably
because
it.
then, but then no one was giving me any clues of what we're about to do.
Well, I don't know what's
texted you.
happening. I don't even know where I'm at right now.
We're-
The one time you don't have your phone.
But then Daniel said welding, and then I was like, oh yes, the welding podcast.
John the welder.
Yeah.
I've got it. I'm the hero.
Oh my god.
So then I got ultra
Yeah,
confident
and then
again.
he did this super slick, like,
Yeah. So then I was like, back to being professional.
Yeah, I am so good at this.
and then
Watch this, flies.
And,
I'm going to show these flies flat around who the real host is.
and then I did this long.
It was good. It was good. It was a good intro.
I'm gonna have to make you a sheet every day.
Oh God.
But you'll just
He
flip
won't
it
look
over and
at
write
it.
on the
Yeah,
back of it
he
and say the
will.
wrong name
He will.
anyway.
He'll
Oh,
just flip
God.
it over and
Something's
write
wrong
one
with me.
word. Like he'll write one word like John.
You need help, man.
Ladies and
right,
gentlemen,
I'm
we'll
taking
try it
drugs.
now on the couch
I'm
with
taking
us.
drugs.
On the couch with and what's the name of your podcast, sir?
Arc Junkies podcast.
Arc
Arc
Junkies.
Junkies.
See, it's that you just asked. From the Arc
Whoa.
Junkies podcast, it is John, the
No,
podcasting welderman.
Jason.
It's Jason.
How you doing, Jason?
Doing great.
I'm sorry. about
Thanks
all
for
this,
being here,
you know.
man.
Oh,
Great
thanks for having me.
promotion.
Yeah. I apologize for being so unprofessional.
Well, and
I expect nothing less.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the show.
That's,
No,
that's
that's
actually an
it.
insult, though, too.
Well, I'm used to that, Sam.
Yeah.
People insult me all the time.
I'm just like you.
I just got an email the other day.
I'm a pedophile like you.
just listing all the. They're like, I forget everything too. I don't compliment my wife as well. Just a list
I'm a
of
bad person,
of
just like you.
horrible things. Then
Here's
they tell
a
me
list of
something.
things we have in common, and they're all bad.
I'm like, just don't tell me that. Just ask me the question. Anyway, so Jason, tell me about how you started a welding podcast.
So I actually took over for a buddy of mine, Jimmy McKnight. He started it back in September 2017, and he decided he was going to get out of the welding industry right around the pandemic in 2020.
I'm out.
And he called me up and he's like, "Hey man, I'm getting out of welding. I need somebody to take over the show." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I can call her on it. You know, I can make
I
some
got
phone
an
calls, see if anybody's
OnlyFans."
interested." And he's like, "No, jackass, I want you to do it." So I was like, "Man, I'd be honored." And I thought about it for a couple weeks, and I was like, if there's information that I can share with the welding community, I'd like to do that. I didn't have that growing up. Through, when I came up as a welder, we didn't have a whole lot of resources.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't want that resource to go away because I was a fan of his show. I've been an avid listener of you guys since like way back in the 90s.
Oh, right on, man.
And you guys kind of inspired me at one point to get into radio. And then I spoke to Dan at one point and he's like, "No, don't do it. The money sucks." So thank God I dodged that bullet. So I stuck
like
with
that.
welding
Yeah.
and
I told people the truth.
took over the podcast in 2020. I've been doing it ever since.
Well, I will say the money can suck, and the majority of the money sucks. They're top tier guys that crush it, but
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
likelihood
they're
of you
making
being
lots.
a top tier guy is, I never got there. I never got to a point where I made a top tier host salary, and I thought I
Well,
did pretty good at it. So I mean, no, it's
Ask an NFL player. Like most of them will tell you, like the guys that are that sign the record-breaking contracts. That's the anomalies. Like
Yes.
the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen. Like all the other guys are the majority are making league minimum, and they work for 2 years, and that's it.
Right.
And then they recycle them.
Let me ask you this. So with welding, is it something that you truly, is it a craft and a skill that you truly enjoy doing? Because I enjoy watching it. I think it's the coolest thing in the world, and I am really blanking bad at welding. In fact, on the scooter that I'm putting together right now, there are 2 welds that I have to look at every time I work on it that are mine that are god-awful bad, like burnt city.
So
fried metal.
I'm super passionate about welding, like
Yeah.
all things welding. I started at the age of 15.
No way.
And then went to the Marine Corps. I was a welder in the Marines. Got out, got into structural steel ironwork. Did that for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I got into welding education. And that's where I really found the passion for welding is teaching welding. So I taught over Seminole State College for 2
Nice.
years, taught over Valencia for 6 years. Now I'm off on my own doing the podcast full time. But I'm also in the process of setting up my very own welding school for short-term welding training.
Oh, I
so
thought
like
you were going to say for short people. I was like, I'm there.
for short
I'm
people,
there.
for short people. So it'll be like
I will be
Small
there.
masks.
yeah,
You know,
it'll be
I-
1 week classes, like weekend stuff. Something for like the home hobbyists, the DIYers.
Yes.
So if you wanted to come in, Dan,
Yes.
you're more than welcome. Like I'll give you a
it's
free
one
spot.
of those things that I look at when metal breaks in your house, and everybody has something that metal to break. I look at it and I'm like, God, I wish I were handy enough.
Can we do a go-to show? Because I want to learn too.
Yes,
I
Okay,
think it's practical.
you're all invited.
I think it's when the world ends, you're going to need to know how to weld metal.
Jason, let me ask you this.
Oh God, I started watching Waterworld yesterday.
No, but it's one of those things that, like, my buddy Shane Bowe that helped me, when we originally put together my scooter and we're getting it together, he was trying to teach me. I'm just not good at it, but I would love to be able to tell people, or when I look at somebody doing it, know exactly what type of welding they're doing or what type of welding equipment they're using, the difference in this torch versus that thing, like that kind of stuff. I don't know any of that.
So we'll get into that, but going back to something you said at the beginning of your buddy quitting during the pandemic, I did think it was
What did
funny
he
that
do?
you quit a job where you're already by yourself with a mask on. Like I can understand quitting being a server because I can't work at Ruby Tuesdays with this mask all day. It's hot, you know what I'm saying? But you're already alone with a giant Darth Vader mask on. Anyway. So going back to I feel like when people see welding, they think it's easier than it is because that's what I think.
Oh God, I'm the opposite.
I think everything's easy.
No, but
I'm the total opposite of it because to me it looks like, oh my God, I could destroy the thing I'm trying to fix literally in the blink of an eye.
and I have no idea how it works, but I just
But I think it's easy.
I like that.
But I see, I'm
on
like,
brand.
you put two pieces of metal together, right? And then you have a stick,
Fire stick.
of metal. That
It's a
you,
jailbroken fire stick.
Like a
you-
sparkler.
And like a sparkler, and then you put that and you melt the metal from the stick onto the two pieces of metal using some sort of a heating element
Yeah.
of a super hot flame or whatever the hell it is.
Write that down, Sam. Write super hot flame.
And then I just melt the metal onto the other metal.
Easy as pie.
And then when it dries,
just use your thumb, wipe a little off if you get a little
Yeah,
mistake
yeah,
on there.
yeah,
Just,
yeah. It's like a hotter caulk.
is that is
Hot
that,
caulk.
Is,
Yeah.
is that insulting to you that Tom calls your job hot caulk?
Yeah, it's I like how he's Tom-splaining how to weld.
He loves a good
I mean, am
Tom
I
splain.
close to what it is?
Yeah.
Kinda.
All right.
So you're
that's all-
actually
that's all I
you're using
need.
an electrical arc
Okay.
the majority of the time, depending. So you described stick welding or shielded metal arc welding.
Okay.
There's also MIG welding where you use a gun and a continuous fed spool of wire. You can also do TIG welding.
Mig and Tig.
MIG and TIG.
Mig is a plane. Tig is a comedian. Nailed it.
So there's obviously different types of welding.
Yes.
Yeah. And what is the hardest of those types?
Aluminum.
I would say stick welding is probably the hardest to learn.
Okay.
And that's why I always teach that one first, because I tell my students, if you can learn how to stick weld, you can learn any of the other processes.
Nice.
They become super simple.
Oh, the flies are back over there.
They never left. They
There's so
never
many
left.
flies.
When
Oh, it's later, it's right on your pompadour.
It-
Oh, it loves you.
how much
It's
What do
getting
you
stuck in your
what
gel.
happened? Did you rub bananas in your hair? What is happening?
Catch This Fly was our new studio fly. We'll make
Put 'em-
money off it.
Put them in the
great.
habitat. Quick, order the keychains.
So, okay, when you are welding, is it more of a art like a sculpting is, or is it more a skill like doing like
Painting?
like painting? I guess painting's more like an art too.
Yeah,
I
how do
guess.
you like?
Yeah, where's the art and the technique? How's that?
The finesse.
So
like,
welding's one of the trades that it kind of marries the two together. So it's definitely a skill, but it's also an art form. So I have a lot of friends that use that, to do like massive sculptures. But you can also use welding to create a bridge or, put a building together or, fix a Vespa.
Okay. And so when you started doing the podcast, you realized like there's no one doing this content out there.
Well, I guess
And-
your buddy did, right?
He did. And then
he's-
there's a couple other welding podcasts.
And then he just did he just kind of pass the torch to you one day on
That was
the-
literally the name of the episode when we, kicked it off, when
Yeah.
we, exchanged hands, as we put it, as
Were there
passing the torch.
did you get any stick from anybody, pun intended, where the people are like, we like the other guy, or was there any?
It wasn't too bad. The welding community's pretty tight, close-knit
Yeah.
community, but I also did YouTube videos for a number of years for a company called weld.com. So I was
Nice.
kind of well-known in the industry. So when I took over the podcast, it sort of made sense. It was taking that information from a video format, putting it into audio format.
Could I call you like a sort of because I'm fascinated by this even more so than the big, like the Pauls or any of that garbage. Are you like sort of a welding influencer? Is that your job?
I hate that term.
I know. I hate it too, but I'm just saying.
But yeah, so like if
your
I can
job
inspire
is
somebody to get into welding, yes.
You are an influencer welder. That is your real, I mean, if there's an action figure of you, that's you.
Yeah, I guess
That's cool.
So-
because that's something that, when this whole thing started working its way out, YouTube and everything, I personally would have never thought that what I consider a tried and true, like an important trade would be able to survive, blossom, and thrive on something like YouTube, because most of it to me is like garbage. But this to me is not. This is educational.
I remember.
I like that.
And so my dad was a diesel mechanic,
Yeah.
and he knew how to weld just for like his airboat, and he
he
just
had
taught
to.
himself.
He had to.
But he wasn't a welder per
Right.
se, but he knew how to do it. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that taught themselves or figured out how to do it, or through someone
Yeah.
else. And he had two. I don't know what kind of welding equipment this was, but he had two big ass tanks. Like a blue and a red one, and a bunch of wires and stuff. I remember me and the wizard one time, we tried to figure out how to use it, and we turned on the gas, and we're like, it stinks in here. And then
Let's smoke cigarettes.
And then, anyway, so what kind of welding
Amazing you're alive, dude. It really is.
What kind of welding uses the tanks?
So you'd be using like oxyacetylene welding.
Okay.
So you got one tank of oxygen, one tank of a fuel gas, typically acetylene, or it could be propane or polypropylene. But yeah, and then you create a neutral flame, and then you weld that way. I mean, it's a very old school, archaic way to do it. So typically now we just use oxyacetylene for cutting mostly, and then we use the more common processes to weld things together.
It seems to me that you're like because you have so many man hours in welding, that you are like an old scuba person showing you that you are tried and true, by the book, safety first always.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And are there any? Because to me, this seems like welding, if I'm you, is the safest thing you could ever do.
Yes.
Because it's tried and true. The equipment hasn't changed. Like scuba equipment, it's been the same equipment for like the last 60 years. Looks exactly the same.
Well-
really. So have you gotten into any hairy situations? Are there...
You burn your eyes out,
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, he's got this luscious beard that I guarantee. I guarantee it goes below. Like even the chat room's like, that's got to go below his shield. Like, will you roll it up?
No,
in
I
there?
actually have a leather bib that goes.
Hell yeah.
It clips onto the hood.
I remember my dad's friends in the 80s. Like there was
just
one
turn
that was,
away and-
he bumps into stuff all the time, and it was like, oh, he burned his eyes out welding. Like a lot of people are burning their eyes out welding in the 80s, because I know, like even my dad, he would get to a point, and then instead of going to get his welding mask, he just
close your eyes.
You close your eyes and you look away,
Yeah,
and
put your hand up.
I've
seen guys hold their Oakleys out like this.
yeah.
Like, what are you doing, man? Like,
So if you look at the arc, is it immediately burn your retinas?
Yeah, it's 10. So the arc that we typically weld with is 10 times brighter than the sun.
Can
God
you?
Jesus
damn.
Christ.
Can you, like, if you look at it a little bit, can you blink it out after a while?
Blink it out.
No, so you actually get something called photokeratitis or arc flash, and it's a sunburn on your eyes, and it will feel like it feels like somebody
played for
threw a
Alabama.
handful of sand in your eyes. So like every time you blink, it just scratches.
And then,
Oh, I
my
think I
God.
have that.
Horrible.
I think I have that now.
is that last forever, or does it heal?
No, a couple hours, maybe overnight. But I mean,
Okay.
typically if you do, like Dan was saying, if you do everything safe, you don't have anything to worry about. So for years, everybody's like, oh, welding's, dark, dirty, dangerous. My
We should
grandfather
not
did
take
it.
Tom to do this. He's gonna burn his eyes
No,
bad.
we're just going to listen to John, Jerry, Jonathan,
Jason,
Jacob,
Jacob, Jingle Hammer Schmidt.
You wear the helmet. Why is the
It's a hood.
or whatever?
Never
Get 'em,
insult
get
a
'em.
man's hood, man.
Why does the windshield have to be so skinny? Like, why to get a big paintball windshield?
What do you want to look like, Daft Punk?
No.
Tom
Well,
wants to look like Daft Punk.
It depends. So some of the welding hoods, they've got like a 4x7
Okay,
lens in there,
yeah.
and then some of them are like a 2x4. I like the 2x4 because I've got ADD, and if I have too much of a viewing space, I get distracted.
Oh, okay.
So I like
look
the
at my
smaller
phone,
view, then I
yeah.
can just focus on the
I
weld.
like to be able to see Pornhub out of the corner of my eye.
I need to
know?
look
just
at
tape
my
your
phone.
phone in the inside of your hood.
Yeah, yeah.
So has there been any?
I got to learn how to do this, dude. I put this right up there where there's a couple things I want to learn how to do this year. Welding's on there and sewing. Because sewing is the welding of the clothier. No, but seriously.
Welding's like sewing with fire.
Like being able to hem pants, being able to put a button
Yeah.
on, that's important stuff, dude.
That's what your wife is for. Everybody knows that. Even Jason knows that.
He laughed. He got a good
Actually, my
chuckle.
wife can't sew. I can.
Oh,
Get
take
him!
that.
I learned how to sew in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
The
All my,
You gotta sew
Marines teach
buttons.
you
all my
Yeah.
Marine buddies know all that stuff. Yeah.
Sewing, ironing.
Yeah. I got a buddy of mine that he actually went into making like not clothing, but he was like ended up doing designing for a couple of clothing companies because he learned how to do that.
Yeah. By the way, you describe your whole life. You described the most real man life ever. Like I went to the Marine Corps.
Look at those boots, man.
Those are great boots.
I'll never.
That's on my list too for this
Getting
year.
boots.
Getting boots,
Yeah.
yeah, getting boots, welding.
God.
you
I'm
know.
going line dancing this month. You wanna
Are
go?
you?
Yeah.
So, Jason,
Andrea might want to do that.
Rock pit.
I'm curious. Now we're going to talk about podcasting for
Yeah.
a second because I'm super curious because I tell
Oh,
people all
plug
the
your
time.
podcast too, real quick, because people might want to check it out. We got a lot of welders. In fact, I follow a lot of our listeners that are welders.
Yeah, it's the Arc Junkies podcast. It's available on iTunes, Spotify, pretty much all the major podcast downloading apps.
Yeah, go check it out. Your
Yep.
website's top tier. You have all your sponsors,
arcjunkies.com.
like all your sponsor page listed with all the equipment. It's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
That's really well done.
Spent a lot of time on that.
Well, it shows. Well done.
The podcasting advice I usually give people if they want to start podcasting.
He
is
didn't ask for any advice.
I'm giving it.
Yeah, okay. You have a fly on your
camera.
camera.
I know. Is that if you're going to start a podcast now, because there's so many podcasts, maybe stick to something topical or some sort of genre.
Something specialized that you're passionate about.
So, yeah, exactly. That you know a lot about and that you
Jason hit that one out of the park, by the way. Like
Yeah,
if
exactly.
if the first question on the SAT was find something you're passionate about, how many years welding experience do you have now? 30?
25.
25, yeah. 25. Come
Now,
on, man.
Here's the problem with this advice is that I don't know how to balance the content out, right? And I'll explain because I've thought about this a lot. And because we don't do it, I have to do it. I have no advice for this. And maybe Jason can tell me.
We're like
as-
general knowledge trivia.
because our topics we can go anywhere we want. We're just going everywhere. So it's actually easier than being topical to me, at least.
Yeah.
Just-
Like if we did a show about cigars or something, I mean,
we could do
extremely difficult. Extremely difficult.
We can talk about a topic every once in a while, once a month or
Poorly.
whatever,
Poorly.
and we'll get through it. But doing a show every single day, because then I imagine every day topics come about, and then you start, because as you get listeners, they want to hear your personality, especially if it's audio, and even through YouTube or whatever. You start, and the reason why people keep coming back is they find something about your personality they like. They like your humor or whatever you're bringing to the table, or they find themselves familiar with you, whatever it is. They like you as a personality, and they like the topic, but how, like, at a certain point you're like, well, I can't talk about TIG welding anymore,
Right.
because we went through and then you start getting into everyday stuff. You
Or
start
maybe
talking
your
about your
own
own
life.
your own life.
Yeah.
You get a little off the welding topic. So how have you
a great
found
question.
that your listeners, because I find this through NFL gambling podcasts, anytime they get off into their own personal lives, sometimes it's good, but then eventually I'm like, all right, get back to the topic.
Yeah, well, we had
that's
a
what I'm
listener
hearing
say
for.
that. Remember a couple weeks ago, we had a listener say, like, and this is weird to me, but he's like, I don't care about your personal lives. Just be funny. And I'm like, okay.
Well, that's all our content is.
No, I know,
It'd be,
I know.
it'd be like listening to Jason's podcast. Like,
No
I don't care about
welding.
welding. Just I want to hear about your personal life.
So how do you balance it?
So I typically have a guest on every week, and
Okay.
everybody has a different story, a different background, why they got into welding, how they got into welding,
Nice.
what processes they're working on, what type of work that they do. And welding's such a cool field, and you never run out of topics because it's so diverse. So you can get into aerospace, you can get into NASCAR, you can get into structural steel, pipe welding.
Sure.
There's just so many different aspects,
Yeah.
hobbyist welders.
Yeah.
I've had engineers on the show. I've had artists and sculptors on the show. So it's always something different, but it's always centralized around welding.
So
cool.
it's guest driven. We're a
Yes.
new guest every week. Okay, guys.
Is there
that's,
any-
That's a way to do it. I think.
Do you cover, because I would geek out on this, and we don't do very much of it on this show because we're not really, this show isn't for people that podcast, but like I still follow podcasts that review podcasting equipment, new microphones, the new Roadcaster Mini, all these new things, right? Are there advances in welding, like technology-wise, where you see stuff and you're like, holy crap, that's awesome, where it's like,
You can
something that we've
review it.
never had before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm getting ready to have somebody on the show to talk about what's called additive manufacturing. It's essentially 3D printing with steel. So you can essentially fabricate an entire bridge with a robot you just program it. The robot does all the work, and it's completely done out of weld metal. So you're not putting I-beams and all that stuff. There's actually a place in Amsterdam where they built a pedestrian bridge, and 2 of the robots started on either side of the bridge, and they met in the middle, and they just welded themselves to the center of the
And
bridge.
when they met in the middle, they
met in the middle.
kissed. And what's weird, guys? They're both boys.
They are
Pride Month.
You kiss the arcs.
Yeah, they kissed their arm.
They touch their tips together.
I'm so stupid. I'm the stupidest person.
Is that you are concerned about
They're taking our
robots taking your jobs?
They took our jobs. So, I mean, it's close, because now they're starting to incorporate artificial intelligence into these systems. So that's something that's extremely new. I don't know anything about it, but I know that there's those 2 technologies are starting to merge, and that's
I don't want to
becoming
make a
little bit
bridge
scary.
today. I want to murder all the humans.
There's that aspect, but I mean, like, so if you think about it, I don't think welders are going to be out of a job, because you still have to have somebody that can program that robot, and you can't just have somebody that knows how to program walk in there and teach that robot how to weld. So it's a lot easier to take a welder, somebody that knows all the different, the theory behind it, the travel speed, work angles, amps, volts, all the science behind it, and program that robot.
Are there like if you?
That's crazy.
Okay, is there a welding school? Is it all done through apprentice
He's
work?
starting one.
Yeah, I got one popping up here in Orlando.
Okay, and then
Get the flies out of your ears.
I can't
damn
take it anymore. This is a
How do you think
hard
Felt.
Well, when it's happening to me, it's different.
It's different.
I'm the boss.
The chat wants us to ask you Miller versus Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Okay.
Wow, that
answer?
was not even a.
I thought it was a Miller versus Bud Light.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's happening.
That's an inside welder question.
Oh, all right. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
There's 2 different machines, so it's like
okay.
Ford and Chevy.
Okay, is there actually a difference or?
I like Lincoln because they sell direct to the customer, but they also provide top-notch customer service. Whereas Miller, you don't really get that kind of support. You have to go through a distributor to get it repaired or anything like that. With Lincoln, I can just reach directly out to my rep. They'll come, right on site, fix my machine or swap it out, whatever the case may be.
And Lincoln was a goddamn good president.
Is welding something you can get better at? Like, is it?
I think anything is something you can get better at.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
just
more,
Take that.
more time and effort you put
Take
into
that.
it.
Jason's positive.
Well, I'm just
you
saying,
negative Nelly.
because I've heard that like people like, oh, that's some good quarter stacking on that welder.
stacking, Mark.
Yeah, you've heard people say that. I have a feeling you have not.
And,
Stack of
quarters.
and then it's because like in aluminum welds, it looks like a stack of quarters that fell over, like it just circles over on top of each other.
here, Brian.
Jason, am I close to being right?
You're close. You're about 15 cents off, so it's like a
Oh!
stack of dimes.
The dimes, okay. So then it's like, all right, if the people are complimenting that, it could only get so good, right? Like if it looks like a perfect stack of dimes, like that's about. I mean,
Well,
I guess.
what if you could make it look like a stack of like rare dimes?
like is there any way that you could get like really that much better than you are now?
What about like
Yes.
I would imagine
Really?
the efficiency and the speed.
It's
Like
just speed.
I bet you he can rip some aluminum, dimes. Like, and then you look at another guy. It'll take me 2 hours. to do
Okay,
this."
so then it's just about the speed of it.
Yeah, well, I
Okay.
mean, like speed,
Efficiency.
different alloys. Some people are like they're a one-trick pony. They can only do stick welding, but then you have some people that can only do MIG welding, or you have other welders that can do all the different processes, different materials.
That's stick
So there's
welding
always
Greg.
something you can get better at, and that's kind of like the my motto is make every weld better than your last.
Okay.
So every weld that you do, you want to analyze it and say, what could I have done better? Because there's always something you could have done better.
My motto is make nickels
Great
good
again.
again. Yeah, make
Is there a common career path for welders? Like, who's the biggest company that hires the most welders?
There's so many different companies out there that are screaming for welders right now. It depends whether you're talking like locally or nationally. I mean, you think about it. Boeing needs welders. NASA needs welders. SpaceX needs welders. There's a lot of places out in Texas that they just hire random rig welders. So they hire a bunch of subcontractors to come out there and do all the pipeline work.
I want to do underwater welding because it looks crazy to see
Yeah.
fire underwater.
There used to be a time where that was the most dangerous and highest paying job
Yeah,
of all time.
I
I think
remember
that's
that.
changed though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I always use an underwater welder.
Now
So
it's teacher.
what's
Hey, I'll be here all week.
what's underwater welding about?
welding underwater. So it's
That's for
So
calling me
there's-
John, you a-hole.
There's
On
a-
the flies. Good day.
Tables have turned.
there's a big
And I have to
misconception.
take it.
Who's the podcast host now?
I have to take it because Jay's gonna easily.
I think he's better at
Push you down.
podcasting
He'll
than
push you
you.
down.
You
He'll
have
make
to-
you smell his boot.
I like when you get held down in your own desk and you can't do anything.
And you're wiggling. You're wiggling. You're wiggling.
Yeah,
He's like,
but I
all
just
right,
can't-
chill out.
Yeah.
Chill out. Calm down, girl.
So there's a huge misconception when it comes to underwater welding. You become a commercial diver. Underwater welding is about 10% of your actual work, and even after you graduate, you're probably not going to be doing any underwater welding for at least the first 2 years after school.
It's
you
all
go out there and you're a
diving.
tender. They would rather unbolt the parts and bring them up to the surface and weld them out, and then go back and reinstall them because it's cheaper. It's actually safer that way. So they only do underwater welding when it's like very critical.
It's a must-have.
Yeah, it's like this is the only way to get it done.
I never knew that. That's crazy.
Or
That totally
they'll
makes
put like
sense.
what they call a habitat down there. So like for pipe welding underwater where they can't, just cut the section of the pipe out, they'll build a habitat around it, pump it full of oxygen, you dive down in your scuba gear, you strip off all your gear, you put on like regular welding clothes, and it's just a completely dry habitat.
That's what
you
I
do your
want.
welding and then you
Make
swim back
me a
up to the surface.
habitat like Luca the lizard. I
Oh.
swim down.
I mean, you're welding in an underwater habitat.
Yeah.
Like
What do you wear?
yeah, man,
I would wear booty shorts.
most people.
Because nobody else is down there, right? I would wear my shield, a tank top, booty shorts.
Well, let's talk about like the misconceptions.
What are they
because
called? Boy shorts, Sam? The boy shorts. Second
Yeah.
skin satin, Victoria's Secret.
I feel like most people think welding is a grueling job that's very
Can be.
taxing on your body, and you're alone most of the time, and it's long hours. Is that the case, or is it just case by case, right?
It's case by case. It depends on the industry. So when I did structural steel, everything you touch is sharp, hot, heavy. It's grueling, back-breaking work. Sometimes you're out there 16, 18 hours a day, slinging iron, welding stuff in, moving stuff manually.
You probably get paid though. Pretty
You get
good.
paid really good, but then I've also had students that go work for like a pharmaceutical company where they walk in and they put on like a full, bunny suit because they have to be sanitary, and they go in there and they do TIG welding. Do the same thing for breweries. So
Viagra together. Like, I don't know.
And then the hours. Is there like a welding union?
so you have like the Ironworkers Union 808 out here in Orlando that I was part of. You had the pipe fitters 803. There's a sheet metal worker
We
here
got to
in
start
Orlando.
one for podcast and put a number behind it.
No rights.
We're like we're
Tom
the,
and Dan,
we're the
Local
gum flapper
159.
603. Like gum flapper 6906.
It doesn't sound as cool as a pipe fitter. Like,
Pipe fitter sounds like you're
I'm
really.
I'm an 808 pipe fitter,
Yeah.
MFer.
Yeah,
you're like
I'm a
you're-
6905 gum flapper. Baldwin Park chapter.
How many women are in the welding industry? We got a lady in the Twitch chat
In
that
the
might.
twi-
I, was,
in
I
the
know.
twatch.
I almost messed that up.
Is it called twatch?
That's thinking about maybe taking the classes.
It's probably about 10% women right now, and we're seeing a big uptick in women getting into the industry. And
Got to be
I'm-
flat chested though. You'll burn those things off.
I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but women actually make better welders because of
Yeah.
hand-eye coordination, attention to detail, the ability to follow instructions.
Reading names,
Reading names.
reading instructions.
Sure. The ability to not let flies grow in your home.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
And then
Got to be flat though. No big busted
You
ladies.
can tape them down.
what are you looking to make out of the school, like as your first job? Because the fact that a lot of people are hiring means that I'm sure there's a lot of incentives that people are offering.
How long does it take to graduate, you think?
So when I taught over Valencia, we had a 6-month program, and we had students coming out making anywhere from $20 to $28 an hour, depending on where you go. And your attitude is going to determine your latitude. So if you come in, you've got a mediocre attitude, no pun intended, you might be looking at 16, 17 bucks an hour. But if you're reliable, you can show up every day, you come in to like get work done, you can make a lot more money.
But Jason, I'm addicted to drugs.
What if I just keep telling
Then
you
you can
I
make
have
16,
Okay,
17 bucks
all
an hour.
right, all right.
But if you can pass a background check, a drug
Sure,
test, and all
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff, you're going to make a little bit more money.
I'm like, hey, I got COVID again. They're like, it's been 8 times. I'm like,
Yeah, man.
food poisoning?
The
Hey.
employers won't
But
tolerate
remember,
that.
when I don't come in, I'm doing you a favor. I'm the hero.
And is it solitary? Like most of the time, like, are you by yourself?
It can be. I mean, most shop environments, you're working with a crew of guys or gals. So it just depends on the industry that you're in. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are mobile rig welders. So they're working by themselves all day, and like that's their everyday environment. But I've worked in shops where you got like 9, 10 other welders in there, and you're just cutting up and, making jokes all day, and you're welding and, cutting material and prepping everything up. And
Can you listen to talk radio
Yeah, well,
and your
Talk
helmet?
radio.
So I did that for years. So we actually built the stairs and handrails and balconies right here for where you guys are at.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
I knew that was you. I knew it.
Back in 2005 when I got out of the Marines. I worked for a company.
Right.
We did
That's
all
when
the
my
stairs
house
and
was built.
handrails in Baldwin
It's
Park.
funny because
You built my handrail.
This,
I did.
this balcony collapsed, but it was the floor. the
Yeah.
handrail.
I had
Yeah.
nothing to do with the
Handrail
floor.
was
Yeah,
fine.
handrail fine.
Yeah, whoever built the floor.
Yeah.
It
We had a
just fell through.
special needs lady fall right through the ceiling. Dead.
No.
No.
Landed right on her head. Landed right on her head.
So, how can people find the podcast again?
They can go to arcjunkies.com. You can pull up Arc Junkies on Spotify or Apple iTunes, and then you can find more information about the school at underground-metalworks.com.
Underground-metalworks.com. What's on this week's show?
This week, trying to think of who my guest is. Oh, I'm interviewing a guy out of Canada, Diesel,
Okay.
and he does art welding pieces. He's really big into TIG welding.
And
How much would if I got the go ahead from Andrea and I want to get like a
The basic.
beginner, what do I get? Just a little something to just,
For some home
just to
welding.
burn some stuff.
So if you, like, what equipment do you need? or
Yeah, what do I need?
So you need a hood, jacket, task-specific or gloves. So if you can be doing TIG welding, don't go buy gloves made for stick welding. You want to get task-specific welding gloves for
Gotcha.
the application.
Didn't know
Wear
that.
pants, because like I said, you're dealing with an arc 10
Tom's
times
out.
brighter than the sun,
Yeah, Tom's
so you
out.
can't wear your flip-flops.
Yeah. You could wear cellophane pants.
well,
though.
if a little red hot BB falls on your foot,
Oh,
what
burn
happens?
right through
You just knock it. You're like,
It
it's
stings you good.
yeah, just things.
Oh
right?
man, I bet that's bad. And so I got to get a little tank of gas.
Yes, I mean, you need a welding machine depending on which process you
What are
want to
those?
do.
What's that going to cost me?
You can get like a little 90 cubic foot tank for a couple $100. You're probably better off getting it on Facebook Marketplace and then just going up to somewhere like Robert's Oxygen to get it refilled.
He,
Okay,
he
I
won't
gotcha.
do Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. He has to buy
I like it.
brand
I like
new
brand new.
from the
Okay,
manufacturer.
brand new. Go down to
Yeah.
Robert's Oxygen. They'll get you hooked up.
Okay, I'm going to Robert's Oxygen.
No, no,
today.
just
But-
go to
Give me the big
Craigslist.
Lincoln. I'm gonna go. Give me. What's the nicest Lincoln you got? What's the nicest Lincoln gonna cost me? $30,000.
No, you can probably get like the 300C machines, probably 16 to 18,000.
I'm gonna put it on the company card. $18,000 Lincoln. Put it right in here.
Is it true that once you weld something, it's stronger than the
It's
original?
like Tommy John said.
Yeah, it's like AC.
Yeah.
The weld's stronger than the
Oh.
base material, yeah.
Okay, so then basically, like once you weld two pieces of steel together, it would be stronger than if it was just a regular, like continuous piece of steel.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Crazy to me because you think like, how could it be stronger than than an unbroken?
I
piece
would
of
imagine
steel?
the striations in. I think I'm making up words, but like how it's made is whatever the molecules like they're aligned differently. So to me, it would be
the weld
the
point is
yeah,
stronger.
like the molecules are lined in a different. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm
Well,
just
it's like the different alloying or elements that they add to the flux that's on the rod or the flux inside the wire.
and then like the heat makes it stronger. It's like forging,
Like treating
steel.
it?
Yeah. Anyway,
Not necessarily.
oh yeah.
Oh, I like that. He's like, no, guys, absolutely nothing like that.
I've run out of misinformation.
You know what's funny?
It's the first time ever.
Oh my God, we
Sam.
gotta write this
That's
down.
all I
Tom
know.
ran out
And
of
And we're
misinformation.
both included in this one because he said that, and then we have Jason who says not necessarily, and then both of us were like, "We don't care, Jason.
We
We're
got
going to break.
nothing."
We're out of here."
Yeah.
We still got 3 minutes of
Yeah, we were both like, "We don't care. Moving on."
I have no more misinformation to spew. Jason, thanks so much for coming by.
Man,
Thank y'all for
really,
having me.
really
It's been a
cool
pleasure.
talking to you. What an amazing thing, and the fact that it's your job, and you've got people from I'm guessing all across the world
Yes.
listening to you, like international welders.
I've got a lot of fans in England, Australia, Canada,
fantastic.
Mexico.
Now, if
India.
if
That's
you
so
ever
cool.
want to know how to monetize this,
They already
I
did.
think he has. He's got a lot of sponsors
You know,
here.
my
Oh, my
door
God.
is always open. The office door.
Yeah, you know
There's
why?
flies
Because
everywhere.
You're welcome to come and sit down. And then
We need to talk to him about monetizing this
But
podcast.
get in line with the flies.
I have a whiteboard. I'll give you the whole 1 to 2.
He doesn't read it, but it's there.
2 to
Oh, my
4.
God. All right.
All right.
Oh,
We
God.
will be right back.
We won't. That's the end.
Yeah, that's the
it was
end.
Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were gonna come back and
For
do
2 minutes?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
That was hilarious. Good job, man. Thanks
Thanks.
for doing that.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man.
Sorry, it's so crazy.
Yeah, we're being silly today. We're in a silly day.
So when will this one come out?
This Friday.
This Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be basically the whole show.
Yeah,
Sweet.
basically.
But yeah, if you guys, once we get the school open, we open
Yeah.
July 17th.
That's really
Okay.
neat.
I'll
Yeah,
send
let's
you
do a
guys
road
an
trip
invite and
show,
everything.
Yeah,
and we'll
send
do
me
like
another
a
email.
special weekend class or whatever.
Yeah, let us know, man. That would be really cool.
Yeah, if there's any way to do it during the week, I don't know if there's any because we'd come in and
We can do it during the week.
We could do a go-to welding show just for ACT.
Okay.
And then just go there, and then you teach us how to weld. And we've done it, and people like it. It's like we did with glass blowing and stuff like that. It's,
So gotta set us up with Reptile World too.
Yeah. Well, now
Yeah, let me know what works for you guys because we have 1 week classes that'll go for like 40 hours. And then we'll bring in companies and train their welders and stuff like that. But we also have weekend classes, night classes.
Okay.
So anytime that I don't have a regular class going on, we can bring you guys in whatever day of the week.
Okay. Yeah, it'll just be for a segment we record and stuff. So we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks again, man. That was really fun. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jason. Sorry about all the craziness.
Yeah.
I expect nothing less.
I can't wait to check out your show, man.
Thanks. Yeah, check it out.
I subscribed this morning when I was at the house. I was like going through and reading about it, and I subscribed to it. So I'm excited to check it out.
I've hit you up a couple times on Instagram for different advice. Thank you.
Oh, right on, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's coming along okay. The problem that I should have, I need to buy a good pair of gloves just for working, but I can't find some that are thin enough.
Okay.
And I don't really want to use plastic gloves because I kind of hate
So if they're
plastic
just
all the
for-
time.
If they're just for working, you can get MaxiFlex gloves. I
MaxiFlex.
wouldn't recommend welding in them,
Yeah.
but they're great. They're like a nylon cut proof. They fit really good on your. They're kind of like mechanics gloves, but better.
Okay,
And they're
cool.
cheaper. You can buy like a dozen for $50 and they last forever.
Yeah, I need a little something because my hands are they're all screwed up, like they're bleeding all the. Yeah, I mean, and then because I'm a little veal in here, man. But good seeing you, man. Take care of yourself. That was funny. All right, you ready? Finish it out,
Yeah.
and then we can either do one more or go to lunch, whatever we're doing. He was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Usually I mention it.
Have a good rest of your Wednesday.
You ever? I'll hit you up if ever. I don't know if you do traditional regular advertising stuff, but every once in a while I get a client that asks like, "Hey, you know any other podcasts that
Check, hey.
Check. Everybody's tripping balls about this Matt Rife tickets situation.
What's wrong?
I guess their site crashed yesterday, and
It's
It sold out
I know
instantaneously.
I know he looks great, and I know the buzz, and I get all of that, and I'm happy for him. But is his comedy good?
he's actually really funny.
Okay,
It's
I
kind of
gotta
a
go-
bummer that everybody just makes a big deal about his looks.
Well, that's the thing is I
but
never.
I guess if it gets people at a show,
oh, who cares, right? It's like Nikki Glazer. She's beautiful, right? But like her show was really funny. I just wanted to know if he's funny because no one has ever told me if he's funny or not.
Yeah.
I'll check him out.
I mean, he was the youngest person on Wild 'N Out.
Oh, I'll check that out. I love the Mulaney, his new special,
I haven't
Baby J.
watched it.
It's good.
Oh, we talked
Kind of annoys me though.
I didn't know how funny he. I didn't know how fun. He's fucking funny. Yeah, his delivery is weird.
He talks about being a cocaine addict.
He talks about the intervention. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, I
But
saw the intervention clip.
It's a good special though. Okay, 4 minutes. I figured we'd just do a
What do we
voicemail.
want- okay.
Yeah. One voicemail.
3, 2.
All right, we're back for quick. We
It's
could
gonna be
have
quick.
extended
Quickie.
it.
Yeah, we got time for one
Yeah.
voicemail
All right.
because what type of host would we be if we did not leave them with one voicemail?
Hey, Tom, Dan, and Sam, being from Minnesota here, listening to you, the ACT for Monday, Too Fat to Bite. You guys are talking about waiting in line for video games and other things and stuff like that. And it made me think of when I was a kid, there's two things that my parents waited in line for. One being the Tickle Me Elmo, and one being the Furby.
Tickle Me Elmo and Furby.
If you think my parents waited in line for any toys for me, You are
I
mistaken.
didn't get. I will say, man, I lucked out. I had great mom and dad, and whereas they would have waited in line for me, my mom was kind of like an Andrea in that she planned. So there was only one big ticket item that I wanted that was like a craze item, and it was the PXL 2000.
What's that?
Which was the Panasonic video camera. I talk about it all the time. I'd buy one right now if I could find one reasonably priced that worked. But you would use regular audio cassette tapes and you could film black and white video on it. It was like revolutionary technology at the time.
Yeah.
And I wanted one so bad, but my mom knew I wanted one. So my dad just bought it like 6 months in advance, right?
Yeah.
And it was in the back of the closet for 6 months. That's very Andrea. To plan it, stash it. You know, and have it. We never did any of that. No Tickle Me Elmo. No. I remember my dad wanted to do the Furby thing, but only because he was a bit of a hustler.
He wanted to buy them and resell them.
Buy them and resell them.
Did you have to deal like American Doll, I guess, with the Maisie? See, I have not experienced your kid
Toy
wants
craze.
a specific
You will.
thing, and
It'll probably be a video game.
then I have to struggle to find it because my boys
Or
are
a controller.
Does that even happen anymore?
Yeah.
Where
it
you
does.
can't, like, they run out of the shelves?
You know where I see it a lot is with wrestling action figures. Little boys that like wrestling, and then they'll want like, oh, I want that Roman Reigns action figure. And then the problem is, and this isn't a problem. Look, it's fair game and it's commercialism, capitalism, whatever you want to call it. But like every time I'm in Target, you go into the wrestling aisle, it's all dads buying up all the action figures.
Yeah, because you could resell them.
Or they
whatever.
just have their own collections, you know? I mean, toys are not just for kiddos anymore.
Weren't there was a time where finding like a PS5 or a new Xbox is hard, right?
I think it's still kind of hard for PS5.
Yeah, PS5 , Xbox,
Which is
Series
bizarre to
X.
me, but
you still have it happen.
We're talking about toys, and it triggered a memory that in the last week I saw. Do you guys remember the toy Real Talkin' Bubba doll? Do you guys recall this was in '97? It came across my TikTok, and they're like, "Oh my god, the nostalgia!" And I was like, "I totally forgot this was a thing."
See, I was in high school
In '97.
Yeah, so I was out of the toy phase, so I don't like even remember
Yeah,
much
I graduated
of the popular.
high school in '94, so I do remember this though. I remember Real Talkin' Bubba.
Watch the commercial.
Hold on, I'm gonna
This was a thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I mean, I
pull this
remember
up.
it, but I'm like, why was this popular for
Okay,
kids?
this is-
What is it, a
A
lion?
redneck bear.
Yeah, this is
No, it's a bear.
It's a red. It's you basically.
Now see what you made me do.
Sorry.
It's like an old country grandpa.
Like this?
I'm embarrassed. Yeah.
It's Real Talking
He talks
Bubba. He's the
jumbly
real
when you
talking
put him on his
joke
head.
best friend bear you can't help but love.
Say, I got an idea.
What?
Give me a big smackaroo.
That sounds like you. That's you.
Just squeeze here, here, or here, and
Don't try to hold my mouth shut.
Huh?
Oh,
What'd you say, Bubba?
let go.
Real Talking Bubba says over 200 different things. You never know what he'll say next.
It could be the N-word.
It could be, because it's Bubba.
Don't get me started on Bud Light.
Give me a big smackaroo.
Oh, Bubba.
Get that for your kids.
We got to protect the children. Ban the books. That's what I say. What, Bubba? What was that?
They're reading to the kids. Oh, pull my
man.
string.
Don't pull my string.
Yeah. Hey, who is this
Yeah.
marketed to?
We
Just
got
the
the
South?
best.
Kids?
Yeah, you pull
Yeah,
the string.
but you didn't
we
market
got the
this to-
best
I think
goddamn governor in the world.
Like this wasn't. I mean, is someone in California ordering this? You know what I'm saying? Like, or is this just
Ghost of
marketed?
Manu Bowl said his sister had one.
I knew a kid that had one too.
Because you wouldn't be familiar or even like this accent.
That's what I thought.
Unless you were from the
But
South,
I think it was a novelty.
I think it's
was that when Larry
preying
the Cable
on-
Guy was out? Was
Yeah,
that '97? Then
to-
that makes sense.
Totally would prey on a little bit
And like
of
the
Larry.
blue collar comedy tours.
I thought
and
that was
stuff.
later, though.
Yeah,
Is
Jeff
it?
Foxworthy was definitely 90s.
Foxworthy's definitely in there. Larry, Bill Engvall. You got to throw him in there.
Right.
There's one
Okay.
other one. We're missing Ron White. Ron White was a
Yeah.
part of that. He's not now because he's sober. You know, Ron White's sober,
Yeah.
and he looks freaking great. He has long silver cool dude hair.
Yeah,
he looks
yeah.
awesome. It's like a cool dude.
So you're telling me not drinking poison?
What?
Low man. Pull my string.
That should be your new
Someone in-
catchphrase whenever you say a joke.
Before we get
Don't
outta
keep
here.
it going. Oh, wait, pull my string.
Before we get out of here, someone in the chat said, my mom had this bear and had hundreds of offers straight in the trash when she died. She smoked indoors. Oh, Bubba smelled like smoke.
You know, you can get rid of that.
I
Oh.
don't know. After a while.
Will you let me buy a Bubba for the studio?
Dude, it's probably
Yes.
insanely
Look it up on
expensive,
eBay.
right?
$45 eBay.
Oh,
Grab me
45
one.
bucks.
Grab
All
me
right, yeah,
one.
buy one.
All right.
All right. We will see you next week.
All right. Nice job.
That's funny.
There's funny vibes lately.
It was worth it.
I
come back
totally
for
forgot that was a toy, and then it came up on my TikTok, and I was like, oh my God, I used to want that toy as a kid.
That's funny. I've never seen that before ever.
I remember that toy. It was like My Pet Monster. Remember with the chains on its arms?
Oh yeah.
It was like a big monster, and it had the orange like bracelets on
I
its
don't
arms, like
remember
it
that.
like it ripped out of a
Yeah,
dungeon.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it had like
See, I think that was before my time.
Yeah, that was
so-
like the 80s, right?
probably late 80s. Yeah. So what were you saying? You were like something that mattered that we did what or something?
Huh? Oh,
You said something like glad we did.
Oh, I'm glad we just did it. That small segment was funny.
It was
worth
real
it.
funny.
Are
we out of here for lunch?
Yeah, let's take lunch and then we'll come back and at least do.
Well, we have let's finish Wednesday because we have 9
Okay.
minutes for Wednesday, and then we have
Let's do it.
Tuttle
only
after.
9?
Yeah, and then we
Okay.
have Tuttle after.
I thought it was
lunch.
19.
No.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Let's do-
Nope, you're right. It is 19. I'm an idiot. We have 9 for Thursday. Do you want to do that? Because we did 29 with Moe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do Thursday.
I guess we need 11. Let's just get
w-
that
and-
done, and then
We may just do Tuttle for that Wednesday.
for the 19.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. You gonna bring us back?
Yeah.
9 minutes.
11.
11 minutes. 3.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. If you're looking for a unique Father's Day present, tankamerica.com. They got coupons for sale on their website, or ask for the Tom and Dan special.
Yes, sir.
And it's not that special's not on the website. It'll save you money, but you have to ask for it specifically to get it and get your dad the gift of an adventure of driving a real tank.
I think Dad will actually like you doing that because he can keep the memories forever. If you get him some garbage, it's going to be punted into the trash.
Imagine
So
if,
don't do that.
Imagine if you had a grandpa that fought in World War II and drove a tank.
You
back
can scare him a little bit too.
I know,
Make
he's a
sure
real
he's
man.
like, fully aware.
And he was
You
shooting
don't want him
the
to
Nazis
wake
with
up in the tank.
And then you give him the gift of driving a tank one more time.
Yeah,
and
one
then
more time.
He has some flashback.
Yeah, he
of
goes
the
haywire.
Nazis.
He goes haywire, tries to knock all the trailers down out
They
there.
got a remote show.
Yeah, they better.
Fine,
It's for
yeah.
grants a silver alert.
Tankamerica.com.
There you go. Go check it out. It's really, really, really fun. And again, you have to mention us to get the deal that we provide. Voicemails and emails. Let's start with this one. Let's do this one right here.
Hey, BDM Justin here. Just listening to the OG recap and Tom's stinky feet. Unfortunately, my feet don't smell the best when I take my shoes and socks off. I bought bamboo socks because they're supposed to help wick away the sweat. That did not work, but just bought some old school odor eaters foot spray. Made sure to obviously wash my feet. I use tea tree oil on my feet when I wash them to help get rid of any fungus. And then for 2 weeks straight, I sprayed my feet with the odor eaters before I put my socks on, and I made sure to spray the inside of my shoes when I took them off. And after a year of foot odor problems, everything worked out. No more stinky feet. Even my shoes don't stink anymore. Pretty effing impressive. Pretty embarrassed that I walked around for so long and my kids made so many jokes at my expense because my stinky feet, and it only took a $7 bottle of odor eaters.
Good on you.
All right. Hope that helped. Later.
There you go. $7 bottle of odor eaters. By the way, I took my phone out during that long voicemail to take a picture of the fly that is
Oh my
living on my.
God.
There's flies everywhere in here now.
So
we've
We
had
gotta get
gnats.
some fly swatters.
We've had gnats before, but we've never had flies. This is an
We
infestation.
have both now, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Should we
feel
get
like
Tom
I'm-
and Dan fly swatters?
I feel like I'm outside right now.
It stinks.
So, yes, I understand that you could treat a problem that
Guys,
your body
remember,
creates.
Tom does not like maintenance,
Yeah.
so he's not going to maintain his feet.
So it's like if you got, some sort of purple feet and you start this diet regimen,
drink
exercise,
water now.
all this stuff, and then you get it to where they're not purple anymore, and you're like, well, they're not purple. But as soon as you stop, back to purple. You see what I'm saying? As soon as this guy stops his odor eater and all his maintenance that he's doing, they're going to go back to stinking.
Sure.
So, yes, there is a cure, and the cure is a bunch of hassle.
Right.
And that's the one I don't want.
Is it what you're? Oh my god!
Oh my God!
It went in
Did you
his
just
mouth.
punch yourself?
It went in his mouth.
almost flew into my mouth.
It flew into his mouth.
This is not
It went in
cool.
or out.
It almost flew into my mouth. And I was going to inhale it.
That happened to Taylor Swift on stage the other day.
And then I started projectile vomiting.
Oh my god!
And you leave your mouth agape a lot.
Well, he's a Casselberry mouth breather.
How are you supposed to breathe through the small holes?
All right, let's
That's
try.
stupid.
Let's try this one. Hold on. Here we go.
My favorite adjective for having the poop would be brown capping. Thank
All
you.
right, sorry. Sorry.
Brown cabin.
Brown capping?
Okay.
Oh,
Stop with all that. That's disgusting.
Cut it out.
Stop with all that.
No, I'm just saying. People are like talking about prairie dogs, and then it's like tickling your underwear. It's
Ew, who said that?
My wife said that. My wife said it was like.
Old
My
world
wife
men
said
say this.
my wife calls it a turd finger scratching at your underwear.
Stop with
Oh
come
my
on.
God.
Don't say that. Don't say any of it.
Neil got fired.
Hey, Speedy, I'm Neil here. I know I called a little while ago and was talking about whatever. I honestly don't remember. I'm kind of sad now. I'm just, drunk and just driving around, whatever.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I got let go of my job today, just like, it just makes me think of Daniel back, being out of a job for a long ass time.
I was never let go. God, I'm not just
like you, drinking and driving and
was
got
never
let go.
let go. I decided to resign.
This sounds like a song I used to. Dear Neil, I'm sorry that I got your message so late. Like the end of it is gonna be, Sadie's driving around.
It's gonna be me in the trunk. A lot of room in here. I'm little.
So
right.
what was he sad about?
It's just because he got fired.
Oh, okay.
You didn't hear that part?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, he said he got
How
fired.
does it end?
No, he just said he calls in about 6 more times drunk. And,
Oh, no.
I'll spare those. But Neil, our heart goes out to you,
Please
buddy.
don't drink and drive.
Yeah, don't drink and drive. We love
There's
you too
other
much.
jobs.
Yeah, there are other jobs that are not other Neils, and I know that you believe that because I know you love your family. So,
But
just
also,
tighten up, homie. You're good. You're
why you got fired should dictate how sad you are, right?
good. You know what? Tom is
Well, it
absolutely
just sounds like
correct
he had
on
been
this.
there for a long time, and
Yeah.
they probably had layoffs, which is always sucks.
It's
Well,
a no reason firing. So Tom's right. You shouldn't feel bad about what you did.
Yeah, for me, is it something you caused? All right, was it performance based? You know what I'm saying, or was it random layoffs?
It was random layoffs.
that the company's downsizing and there's nothing you could do.
Correct.
Although with the random layoffs, you do start thinking, well, there's still other people working.
Right,
You didn't fire
seniority,
them.
yeah.
So
Right.
you picked me,
But
Right.
it doesn't
and you didn't
necessarily.
pick
It does feel
John.
personal.
Yeah, but
yeah.
you can't answer it, right? Like you can't say, "Well, that guy works harder than me," because that's a dangerous game to play. They may not have given it any thought.
Unless it was just completely computer generated randomizer, but that would be
Unless the person wrote you and said, "You got fired because you don't work as hard as I do."
Well, okay, I know how layoffs work. It comes down from the top, and then they give a lot of times the management the discretion of who gets laid
They
off.
should fire the management though, because they're making the most and doing the least.
Well, sometimes they do. That happened in Daniel's case one time where the manager was talking to me, and I had heard through the rumor mill that she was going to get fired too. So as she was talking to me about them not bringing you back because they're doing massive layoffs anymore, then I was thinking in the back of my head, I think they're firing you too. And then a week
And it
later
was true.
fired.
It was absolutely true.
But someone does make the decision. So at the end of the day, it is technically your fault. Tom Van.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
You just made him more sad.
Neil knows.
No.
Neil knows.
No, I'm saying someone had to determine whether it was you or another employee that still has a job and why they determined that.
And it was you.
I guess it could be their friend or nothing performance-based.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't even matter.
But sometimes you got to suck up to your boss to be so you don't get fired, right?
Sometimes you got to go in the stall with him.
Ultimately, everything is your fault.
I say that.
Right?
Except for the stuff that Andrea messes up. Which is a lot. It is a lot.
Well, you still married her. You know what I'm saying? You can always bring it back to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's very rarely you could never trace it back to yourself.
I could have
right?
never hitched to her wagon, and I'd be, a lonely man right now.
In what scenario you get fired is not your fault. The company.
Well, again, fired and laid off is different, right?
True.
Well,
fired is usually like you did something
wrong. Yeah.
Layoff is usually we didn't.
They had
can't
numbers
sustain,
that they had to get rid of, and you just happen to be one of those numbers.
We can't sustain paying you people. We're sorry.
It could be that he had seniority, so he made more, so they profited more by letting him go because he was one of the higher paid individuals.
But there's still someone working at the company that got paid equal or more than you did.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And
maybe he'll call in and tell us.
But in most layoff situations, they're not firing everybody. That's what I'm saying. They keep someone. Why did they
usually keep the suckers, though. Seriously, the people that do a ton of work. I was a sucker. I made through a lot of layoffs because I knew I did a lot of work.
Oh, Merchman Eric is in the chat. You've offended him. He said, I was random laid off. It sucked, and it was embarrassing to have to box up my stuff and walk out.
Do you see what
then
Tom
you
thinks
said
of
it was your fault, and he said, I feel worse now.
Do you see what Tom thinks of you, Merchman?
It's not personal, but I'm
just
saying.
It was all your fault, Merchman.
Was it random, really, or was it a person's choice, and then they picked someone because they didn't pick? They picked you and not another person.
Yeah.
Unless it's put in a randomizer.
You're gonna keep going on this, right? Okay.
What is it? Do they ever put it in a randomizer?
I don't even
know
think.
How it
you know
works.
what? Call me crazy, but I don't think there's such a thing as a randomizer.
No, you could put. There's a thing you could just put.
I don't believe anything
it's
anymore.
Random.
It's all been
in the
figured
chat.
out.
Someone said they keep the people without pensions and high pay, which makes sense because it's
traditionally
better for the company.
Yeah, and then it's
And again, of course they weren't going to hire me back. I was doing okay, and that was a chunk of money. So as soon as I gave my money up, that wasn't going to anybody but being absorbed by the company. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, it's your high pay and pensions. It's kind of still.
Okay. Let's try this one right here about fat dogs.
Hey gang, it's Zach from Ohio. Why is it that so many of the customers I meet when I go in their homes, the elderly ones, have fat dogs? Almost all of the fat dogs I meet are owned by elderly people. Like, why don't they understand that you're supposed to ration their food? I don't get it.
Well, it's less about the rationing the
spoil
food.
them.
Yeah, they spoil them, and they're sedentary old people coming in for a landing. They're not going to be out there walking them all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's their only friend.
My mom keeps her dogs fat. Fat. Like,
well, you have to because Bitey will run around.
Yeah.
Was it Bitey or the other one?
No, Bitey
that
calmed
tried
down.
to escape?
Bitey calmed down. What's the other one's name? Greg?
Petey Pablo or something?
Yeah,
what is it?
yeah, the other one's name is Chamillionaire.
It's like a human name, isn't it?
What is his name?
Drake? Cooper.
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 Hang on, Mr. Cooper. That's how I remembered.
So good job, Sam.
Bitey is now morbidly obese, and
you gotta chunk up Cooper so he'll stop running.
And then my mom will tell me, like, I don't know why Bitey's so fat.
Well, most of
while she's feeding it to like,
Velveeta cheese.
Oh, give him a cheese stick.
Yeah. And then so it's the constant snacks and just giving the dog whatever it wants.
Little treaties and leftovers while they're eating. Yeah.
A sticky snack. A bite for me, a bite for you.
Yeah.
Oh, a little rice fell on the floor.
Daniel's mom. Remember?
Oh,
the
Dansby's
cheese?
gonna be fat.
No, because I don't.
Caesar.
I am a dog food only guy. I do not give treats for pottying. Nope. You go potty because you're supposed to do that. I do.
What about when you're having a snack? You don't give him a little bite?
Hell no. I don't give him any people food,
Poor
man, because
Dansby.
that's how your dog doesn't live a long time, and B, these little peepees, if you give them a bite of cheese, they will crap everywhere. Pee, crap. No, you can't. No people food for my dog at all. Not a bite.
Just like Luca, I just like to make it happy at all times. This second,
He was putting Slim Jims in Luca's cage.
I don't think about what it does to the animal in the future.
Right.
That's for the future.
Yeah, that's for planners.
Right now.
A planner would do that.
Anyway.
You want to do one
No,
more?
gotta get outta
We
here.
gotta go.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Awesome. Good job, y'all. Yeah, Dansby's never had people food. Where's this go?
That is Thursday 2, and then we'll save that Wednesday segment for Tuttle.
All right, guys. Hey, everybody have a wonderful lunch. It was fun hanging with you.
See you, George.
See you back here a little before 1 with Mr.